We have a photo here that has a yellow color cast to it. It's not a very good photo, but I think there's a few things we can do to improve it. First of all, for basic color balancing, you need to remember that red, green, and blue are balanced by cyan, magenta, and yellow. So that means that blue is balanced by yellow. So I'm going to put an adjustment layer on this for levels. And while we could go into the blue channel and change it, there's something that you need to know that can be a quick shortcut for actually taking a color cast off of a photo, and that's to use the set gray point dropper. You can actually select a point or try out a number of points in your photo that you think might be a neutral gray or should be a neutral gray to see if it takes the color cast off of your photo. And just one click there, and that seemed to take quite a bit of the color cast off of this photo. This is an adjustment layer, and so we can see in layers, I can turn that off and I can turn that on. It's a non-destructive method here. Now, while it did take quite a bit of the yellow color cast off, I still believe that there's quite a bit of yellow in this shirt that needs to be taken out. And so if you want to actually do some work on a portion of an image, then we need to make a selection. The image itself that's been changed by this levels adjustment, we call that a global change because this happened all the way across the entire image. But if we want to just specifically target the shirt, we'll need to select it. I'm going to try first and see if we can get a good selection of this shirt with the quick select tool. And so I'm just going to drag over the shirt and see how well I can do with that. Now I've gotten some areas that I didn't want selected in here, and while I could hold down the Option key and get the minus sign with this tool, if I zoom in here and let's make the tool a little bit smaller. Let's just go ahead and hold down the Control and Option keys and drag left to make this a little bit smaller. I could actually hold down the Option key, which gives me the minus sign. I can try subtracting from the selection in a few spots, but I can tell that that's not going to quite work out the way that I want. It's still left a few bits in there that I would like to get rid of. And down here I would like to add, so I can also click down there and add that. I can also try up here holding down the Option key and removing part of that selection where I didn't want it. And all in all, if I need to modify the selection some more, I'm going to go quickly into a quick mask mode. That is this little icon right down here in your tools. You can also press Q to get that. Now, Q toggles that on and off. I'm going to press Q to toggle that back off again. I can see some spots that I would like to not have in the selection that I need to take out, but I would like to see a little bit more through that. So I'm going to double click on the quick mask icon here, and I can control the opacity of it right here. So I'm going to change that to 20%. You can also change the color if you like. I have this set to show me the selected areas, and if you are trying to use this on an image that has a lot of red in it, you might want to actually click here and change colors, but this is fine for me right now, so I'm going to click OK. I can see that there's a bit right here that I would like to not have in the selection. Let's just zoom in on that a little bit. I can press Q and I can see exactly where that is. So I'm just going to actually make a quick run around that with the pen tool. So I'm just going to click and pull down to go right through this area and come up around this area that I would like to take out. Command return is a quick way to make a selection with a pen path, and that would be Control Enter for a PC. So command return, and that is the selection. And if you Option delete, it fills with the foreground color. That's Alt delete on the PC. You can see that's taken that out of the selection. So Command D or Control D on a PC deselects that. I can press Q to get back to the regular selection mode where I see the marching ants, and I can take a look at the rest of this and see if there's anything I'd like to modify. I can also press Q and go back into quick mask mode and take a look as well. Quick mask mode just allows you to paint selections in and out. So if there's I'm going to press Q again, and if there's a little bit right there that I'd like to actually have back in the selection, I can easily get a paintbrush, and with the Control and Option keys I can actually drag left to make this smaller. That would also be the Control Alt key on a PC, and so that's going to make that brush smaller when I click and drag to the left. Dragging to the right makes it larger, dragging to the left makes it smaller, dragging up actually gives me a softer edge to the brush, and dragging down makes it harder. And so again, if I'm painting white on the mask, you can see if I click here, it's going to actually take out of the selection. So undo that. If I press X and pop the black to the foreground while I'm in quick mask mode, that's going to let me actually add to the selection. So there's a few areas right here near the elbow that I wanted to add back in. So I'm going to press Q again. That zooms me back out. Let's do Command 0. And now the shirt's reasonably selected. And I'm going to add another adjustment layer for it. So this time I'm going to make another levels adjustment for the shirt. And when that pops up, now I have a yellow color cast to it. So I want to check out the blue channel. So when I come up here to where it says RGB and I click, I can actually choose the blue channel. And in the blue channel you can see that there's this big gap over here to the right. So this is showing a lack of this area in the blue channel. So if I get the highlight slider and drag it over, look at how it actually takes the yellow right out of that shirt. If you use the middle slider here, this is going to balance in between blue and yellow. So you can see in one direction it turns yellow, the other direction it turns blue. So we're looking for a balance in between for color balancing. Now I also see that taking the yellow out leaves a little bit of a magenta color cast, and so remember what balances magenta. If you don't, just remember to put RG and B in a column and put CMY next to it. So green and magenta balance each other. So I can go to the green channel, and I have a similar situation here. I've got the slider over here. I have a big gap in the data here, and if I actually pull that over, you can see that is going to balance in between magenta and green. I'm just going to pull that over to where the data starts here, and I'm going to get the midtone slider here and drag until, as you can see, in one direction it's going to make it green, and the other direction is going to make it magenta. So this is color balancing. We're looking for something in the middle that is actually going to correct our problem. Now this may look a little different on your monitor. But on mine that actually seems to have improved things quite a bit. And so here I've got a global adjustment that actually takes the color cast off the picture in general. I had a bit more of a problem on the shirt. I created a selection of the shirt and created a levels adjustment layer to correct the shirt. I can actually encapsulate all of this in a smart object by shift clicking between the bottom and the top and right-clicking and telling this to convert to a smart object. Now I can make another adjustment on the entire image if I like. I can actually just put a filter on it. So I'm going to choose the Camera Raw filter. And with the Camera Raw filter, I can make other adjustments. This is all non-destructive. So if I want to play with the exposure a bit, the contrast, all of this is non-destructive, so I can go back and alter it later if I'm not happy with it. And let's take the clarity up just a little bit of vibrance. Click OK, and that image looks quite a bit better than what I started with. If you recall, what I started with is now actually inside the smart object. So if I double click the smart object and go back in, I can turn off these layers and you can see that this is the image that I started with. So that's what I started with, and after making a few adjustments and creating a Camera Raw filter on the end result, I've improved that image quite a bit.